Yoga is an incredible science that helps us transform our physical fitness, which is what it's largely known for today. But beyond even physical fitness, it's that science which can help us enhance our mental wellness. But I think even beyond mental wellness, yoga is a science that facilitates the deepening of our spiritual awakening. But to be honest, more than physical fitness, more than mental wellness, more than a spiritual awakening, yoga is a tradition, a culture, a set of values, a set of beliefs that can truly help us deal with much larger issues in the world than fitness. May it be climate change, or may it be issues that are being tackled by the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations: poverty, hunger, gender equality, education, life on land, life underwater. Whatever these sustainable goals may be, yoga has a solution, a proposed solution to deal with these larger problems and challenges that the entire world confronts today. I know that as soon as we hear the word yoga as a solution for global issues, we are skeptical. How can a system of exercise, how can a system of breathing be a solution to global issues and problems? Which is why I very strongly and firmly believe that we have to start thinking about yoga as more than exercise. We have to start thinking about yoga as dimensions which has the tenets to offer us solutions to our global problems. This morning I thought I would present to you 3 dimensions of yoga that can truly help us deal with climate change and address the issues that the UN is trying to address through the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. The first dimension is the philosophy of yoga. When we talk about the philosophy of yoga, amongst many other principles, talks about sensitivity. Being extremely sensitive to the needs, the interests, the concerns, the feelings, not simply of human beings, but of trees and plants, of animals and birds, of the air and water bodies, of nature, of Mother Earth, of life at large. The philosophy of yoga teaches us the very fundamental premise that can help us change global problems: sensitivity and empathy. I come from India, and I grew up always listening to my mom telling me, oh, we should go and bathe in the Mother Ganges. I wondered, I had a mother already, my mom. Why bathe in Mother Ganges? I constantly kept hearing my mom refer to the earth as Mother Earth. I said, I already have a mom. So here we have Mother Ganges, and now we have, which is a river, and then I have Mother Earth. And then I constantly kept hearing my mom telling me, you should respect and care for Mother Cow. I said, God, I think I have too many moms here. Apart from the mother, the biological mother that gave me birth, here's a Mother Earth, here's Mother Ganges, here's Mother Cow. And what's Mother Ganges? A body of water, river. What's Mother Earth? A planet. Imagine a culture of yoga, a tradition of yoga, where you are even taught to deal with inanimate objects like water bodies and just a planet as people, as personalities. Call it myth, call it reality, I don't care. Call it myth or call it reality. It's not a problem. Here is an attitude where we are trying to treat even inanimate things as people, with dignity, with respect, with honor. And we can well imagine if we can treat inanimate stuff with respect and dignity, what to speak of where there is life. What to speak of trees and plants and birds and animals and polar bears and aquatics, and what to speak of human beings, what to speak of a kid in Somalia, what to speak of someone in Siberia, what to speak of sanitation issues in India. We are talking about a philosophy that teaches sensitivity. I mean, they say that things are meant to be used and people are meant to be loved. In the world today, things are loved and people are used to get those things. Not just people. Trees are used to get those things. Not just trees. Animals are used to get those things. Not just animals. Water bodies are used to get those things. We live in a world where we are constantly exploiting the resources that nature has provided us simply so that we can have those things for our mass consumerism. And we talk about climate change, don't we? And which is why the philosophy of yoga is a philosophy that influences thought. Don't they say, watch your thoughts, they turn into words. Watch your words, they turn into actions. Watch your actions, they turn into a habit. Watch your habits, they turn into a character. Watch your character, it turns into a destiny. We are at a situation where are we meant to be destined with about 8 billion tons of plastic in the oceans? Are we meant to be destined with so many species that are suffering extinction? Who's meant to change it? Unless we change thinking, we can't change speaking. If we can't change speaking, we can't change acting. If we can't change acting, we can't change conditioning. If we can't change conditioning, we can't change characters. And if we can't change characters, we can't change the modern scenario. Which is precisely why it all begins with a thought in there. So apart from physical exercise and pranayama and breathing, yoga is a philosophy that teaches us the fundamental premise of sensitivity. And imagine if we can spread this awareness. Imagine if we can incorporate the philosophy of yoga, which teaches sensitivity beyond any religion or region, beyond any sect or faith, beyond any caste or culture or creed. Imagine if it's a part of the curriculum all over the globe where we actually teach people how to deal with every aspect of life, including inanimate things, sensitively. We probably are then looking at reversing, if not reversing, improving the current scenario that we face. The second dimension of yoga that I wanted to present to you was about the practice of yoga. The practice of yoga is not just some physical postures called asanas, and the practice of yoga is not just some breathing techniques called pranayama, which is what it is largely known for. One of the practices of yoga that is very crucial in dealing with the global social issues that we are confronted with is self-control. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no question of dealing with these challenges unless we learn the art of self-control. How many of you here have eaten something when your mind wanted it? Thank you very much. How many of you here have said something to someone when your just mind wanted it? Thank you. How many of you have walked into a shopping mall or into a branded store to buy something when your mind said it? I think we live in a world where we have all become, excuse my jargon, servants and slaves to our mind. What if we learn to reverse the situation and rather than being slaves to the mind, learn to be masters to the mind, where rather than the mind being in our control, we are in control of our minds. The pathetic state of the world that we are in today, however, is because, like Mahatma Gandhi said, there is enough in the world for everybody's need, but there's not enough for one man's greed. It's lack of self-control that makes people greedy. It's lack of self-control that makes us consumers. Consuming at the cost of all of those resources that nature provided us so that we can sustainably live and create a legacy of sustainability for the future generations. Unfortunately for us, however, we don't look at it that way. Consumption is not a problem. We need to live in the world, we need to consume. But should that consumption be at the cost of everything that provides us and everything that gives us? And which is why I do believe that when we are slaves and servants to the mind, we are consumers. But when we are masters to our mind, we are contributors. One of the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations is responsible production and consumption. Be responsible in consuming and be responsible in producing. How are we going to be responsible in consuming and responsible in producing? The practice of yoga teaches us the art of self-control. And which is why I always say that look at the mind carefully before we find external solutions. We need to look at internal solutions of being in control. Most places where I go, there's a lot of discussion on these subjects, but the kind of consumption that happens by the same people who talk about it, unfortunately, is something that can be alarming. And the last dimension of yoga that I wanted to mention about is a process. Yoga is a process that goes even beyond the mind to connect to your very essence, to your very self, and to connect to the divine and to divinity. And that spiritual dimension of yoga can lead to a very powerful contribution. That's called selflessness. The process of yoga, spiritual purification, leads to selflessness. How many of you love ice cream? Okay, thank you. But there's a problem with ice cream there. It's fantastic to taste ice cream. The issue with ice cream is its ideology. The ideology behind the ice cream is enjoy it before it melts. And the thing is, life is such as well. It melts away. And people who believe in the ideology of the ice cream say, enjoy your life before it melts. A very selfish ideology. Narcissistic and self-absorbed. Contrast that with the candle. What is the ideology behind the candle? Give light to others before it melts. An ice cream melts and a candle melts. But an ice cream is all about narcissistic self-absorption, and a candle is about selfless contribution. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time now that we need to help ourselves and people slowly make that shift from being an ice cream to a candle. The more we stop living as an ice cream and the more we start living as a candle, we will think about the ocean, we'll think about the polar bear, we'll think about some little girl in Syria, we will think about someone out there, because we are not self-absorbed. We are trying to be a candle to look at how we can offer a solution to these issues. You know something? The first letter of the word illness is I. And the first two letters of the word wellness are W and E, which is we. And it's quite fantastic that when we move from I to we, illness turns into wellness. Ladies and gentlemen, it's very easy to make a buck, difficult to make a difference, but together we can all indeed make a difference in our way, in our tiny bit, step by step, and contribute towards dealing with the issues of climate change and other issues that the world confronts today. And yoga can be such a massive step towards it. The philosophy of yoga, teaching us sensitivity. The practice of yoga, teaching us self-control. And the process of yoga, bringing us to selflessness. The 3 P's leading through the 3 S's. When we connect them all, that's yoga for climate change. Once again, thank you all very much for your kind.